Hey, yo, what up, what up, what up? What's good? What's good? Shout out to everybody out there. Shout out to the overnight crew. It's going to be a quick one, y'all. I'm kind of in a hurry because I got to go to the casino tonight. Got to get my gambling on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really a big gambler, but I like to go in there and watch all the people lose their money. So that's my fun. It's me, it's your man, it's your boy Alpha the first one. As y'all see me popping up in the quote unquote E-Waste art, E-Waste pictures, E-Waste memes. Let me go there. I go right there. The YouTube channel, that's my rides. That's two of my rides. I got two more. And I'm going to show you a picture here of me painting one of my rides. I was painting it. That's right there. That's that Crown Vic. That's the photo Vic. I was painting it. The YouTube channel is E-Waste Dating Tips by Alpha the First One. E-Waste Dating Tips by A11 or just E-Waste Dating Tips. I also have two other YouTube channels on YouTube. I have E-Waste Alpha, which is where I show you how to do e-waste. Yes, where I get all this nice, lovely art that I use. I have to get it from e-waste, so I show you how to process, make money, sell e-waste, stack it up. And I also have a channel called Alpha Engine Swaps. Alpha Engine Swaps. Check them out. Alpha Engine Swap 11. And I apologize, my allergies are kind of kicking today because I was in the desert touching grass. And usually when I'm out there around all that pollen, this is usually the end results. So I apologize, y'all. I have allergies. Y'all know this. I'm not afraid to tell you. I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. But that's kind of going into what we're going to talk about tonight. We got to talk about these people who think they are perfect. Yeah, we got to talk about these people who think they perfect. They think they are infallible. They think that they shit don't stink. Who am I talking about? Women! Shout out to all the ladies who listen to me. If you can take my misogyny, as they say, they gonna call me everything: a misogynist, incel, small dick, short, you name it. I mean, I'm waiting for all that. They gonna call me all those things. But guess what they're not gonna do? They're not gonna give you a solution. Because what is the solution? Well, that's what I wrote my book about. I wrote my book about the solution. And I did a video called What? The Solution is the Problem. Check it out on my channel. What is the name of my book? The name of my book is The GPS Unregulated versus SPG Regulated Dating and Mating System Concept. Right now it's being copyrighted. Should be out, hopefully. Waiting on that Library of Congress. You know, they got the government shut down in certain parts, you know. So we got to do what we got to do. I can let it out right now, but you know me, I want everything what? Legit. That's just how I am. I want it in Congress. But tonight, that's why I added all these different memes, because I got to give the trolls something. And I want people to talk about how ugly I am and how ugly my cars is and my house and all that good stuff. So when you hear all that, you can say Alpha told us about all that. We already know about all that. Do you got any solutions? And what I'm going to talk about tonight, they absolutely don't have a solution. They don't have one. But this is a very serious subject, y'all. It's very serious. And it's starting to happen right now. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the women versus women war. Absolutely. We got to talk about the woman versus woman war. That's coming. That's right now. It's happening right now. Why am I talking about this subject? As y'all know, we are in an unregulated system. There are no rules. There is no regulation. Which means that everybody is not going to be guaranteed what? A good deal. Everybody's not going to get the same outcomes. That's just the way it goes. So since everybody's not going to get the same goals and the same outcomes, somebody's going to have more, somebody's going to have less, some people ain't going to have nothing. That's how dating and mating goes in an unregulated system. In a regulated system, everybody gets something, but it's not of the same quality. Everybody don't get a Prince Charming, and everybody don't get a beauty queen. That's just what they do under regulated system. So in our current unregulated society, you are now seeing the full force of the outcomes. They cannot be denied. See, this is why I tell you the trolls and the naysayers, the panda bears, the simps, feminists, and women who just don't give a shit, they always gonna attack the person who's talking about solutions versus attacking the solutions that the person is presenting. In philosophy, we call that ad hominem. That's why I don't do any debates. I've asked people, several people have asked me and actually requested that I come to their channel for debates. They want me to come debate them, and I said no, I will not. And they're like, "Why, man? You're a pretty good speaker, man. You have great arguments. You should come do it." And I said, "No, sir, because I've told one, I won't say his name, but I told him, I said, I find your platform detestable." He said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I find your platform is detestable to me. It's an abomination to the word philosophy." Yes, I have a degree in philosophy. I do. And I have no problem with talking with people who are trying to do philosophy and they haven't been formally trained. That's no problem. I got no problem with that. That's how philosophy started. Everything was informal. Then we got formal. And now we got rage bait. And that's what I told him. I said, your version of doing philosophy is completely abomination to the word. It ain't solving a damn problem. All it's doing is making you clicks and views, donations, and rage bait for views. Naturally speaking, he got pissed off at me. And still asked me, say, "That's why I want you to come. That's why I want you to come over and debate my channel, because you're the only person ever tell me something like that." I said, "No, I'm the first one, Alpha, the first one to tell you something like that." And I told him, "You surrounded by fools. That's why you doing it." See, truth can be offensive, but it's still truth. And then he got quiet. He said, "I see what you're saying. I didn't even think." I said, "Yeah, you surrounded by fools." Because true philosophy is based on what? Finding truth and implementing that truth. Pay attention. I'm going to say that again. True philosophy is designed for you to find the truth and implement that truth, meaning put it into real world. It's not about just sitting around pontificating, arguing with one another, and nothing gets done. That's insane. Philosophers, we hate that shit. We can't stand it. So when I talk about this woman versus women war, and they want you to attack me, they don't want you to attack the solutions that will stop this war, because they don't have any. That's why I don't debate people anymore. I never have. I'm not going to do it. But this woman versus woman war is coming down. It's happening right now. And let's talk about who's going to be waging this war. Essentially, the women that will be waging this war is what I call new fake Victorian era women. Yes, we are moving into a new fake Victorian era. Now, if you don't know what that is, look up the Victorian era. The Victorian era women were from what I think 16th to the 18th century. They were some very mean, nasty women. They didn't play. They were the women who implemented many of the rules and regulations that were around that came over to America. They were the ones that did it. And they had men enforce those rules. Yes. They were the ones that came up with the term spinster, thornback. Look that up. And our great lovely word slut. Look that up. Now, they didn't invent that word. That is a Slavic word that comes from the 15th century. And it migrated over to the Victorian era. And they used that word on particular kinds of women. So in order to understand the woman versus woman war, you got to understand the women that are going through the war. Now, according to my book, there are 3 types of women. I did a video on that. The first woman is a good girl, a virgin bride. The only woman that can call herself a trad, base, conservative woman. Any woman that has had sexual actions one time outside the institution of marriage, she is not a trad, base, conservative woman. She's not a good girl. She's not a virgin bride. That's cold. No way out of that. Don't believe me? Look up the Victorian era. The second woman is an honest woman. The oldest profession in the world. A prostitute, sex worker, sugar baby, pay for play, OnlyFans, porn star, street walker, blade runner, massage girl, escort, high-end escort, cash app girl, whatever she want to call herself. She has so many names. And the reason why she got to have those names is people can't accept the reality that no society can function without her. She's the universal woman. If you got a regulated society, she's going to be in it. If you got an unregulated society, she's going to be in it. She's an honest woman. There's always been one rule with her, though. What is that? Never turn a pro into a housewife. That's it. Do whatever you want with her. Purse first, ass last. And the last woman I wrote about is what? Is the majority of the woman we got now in our current unregulated dating and mating system. And what is that? Well, she's not a virgin bride. She can't be that. She got blown out on prom night. Yeah, she wanted to do it. Absolutely. Consensual. Jumped on the man to do it. Or the boy. Should be a boy, because I don't support PDF. Y'all know that. And she's not a prostitute. She's not a sex worker. So if she's not a virgin bride and she's not a sex worker, what do we call her? That's why you go back to that Victorian era. They called her a slut. That's what she is. She's a slut. That's what the Victorian women called her. Dirty woman, unfit for the institution of marriage. That's the definition. A non-virgin bride that's not a sex worker that's unfit for the institution of marriage. That's the definition of a slut. And so what's going on in our current society is we have a new war that's happening between women. See, we had another war between women. When was that? It was during the sexual revolution. I'm going to use the classic example of the 80-20 to understand what happened. Before the sexual revolution, there was about 80% of the women who were virgin brides, and you had a good 20% that were not. I'm just using that as an example. It's not to be exact. So the majority of women were virgin brides. They got married, they had sex on their wedding night before the sexual revolution. And you had 20% that were not. Now, naturally speaking, out of that 20%, we'll just say half of them were prostitutes and the other half were sluts. So that 10% of sluts convince the 80% of virgin brides to not be virgin brides. That's the sexual revolution. That 10% of sluts told the 80%, meaning the majority of women who were virgin brides, that it's better to be a slut, right, than to be a virgin bride. That's the sexual revolution. They revolted. Revolt against what? The current standard. They waged a war. And we all know who won. The sluts won. They convinced the majority of women that it's better to be a slut than it is to be a virgin bride. And this is what they told them. They told them, look, check this out. You can have sex like a man too. You can go outside and have sex like a man, meaning not be a virgin groom. And after you had your fun in the sun, after you ran the streets, on the gram, in the YouTube, then you can get married just like what men do. See? You can sow your wild oats just like what men do. See? Why should men be allowed to have all the fun? It's oppressive to not let you be a non-virgin bride. And you don't have to do it as a prostitute. See? You don't have to wear that public shame. You see? And so essentially, they convinced the virgin brides to not be virgin brides. That was the war. They won. The rest is history. Now, we went from the opposite of what we had before the sexual revolution. Before the sexual revolution, 90% of the women came out of high school as what? Virgin brides. Now, 90% of the women come out of high school as what? Non-virgin brides. That's why the marriage rate is down. These are the results of the first woman versus woman war. See, the first woman versus woman war, you had virgin brides used to check the non-virgin brides. They would tell them, yeah, you out there getting blown out in the streets, but I am a wife. I have status, and that used to be a social status. I have legal rights. You do not. I have inheritance rights. You do not. And that was true. Bastard children back in the days didn't get treated too well. Some children had fathers that died. That's not the same as a bastard. A bastard is a child who was born out of wedlock. And those children and mother were shunned. It is what it is. If you look up the VA, they say care for the veteran and his widow and his children. In order to be a widow, you got to be married. They don't say care for the bastard children. So the virgin brides, who were the wives, they were the top girls. The second woman was a prostitute. She was the number 2 woman. She would tell the slut, yeah, I'm a prostitute, but shit, at least I get paid. You got guys fucking you and you ain't getting nothing out of it. At least I got these nice minks and these gold chains and I'm driving the Bentley with my pimp. Shit, you ain't got nothing. You driving a Hyundai. The woman versus woman war. And so the wife, which was the virgin bride, and the prostitute, they had no problem with each other. This was before the sexual revolution. You can look this up. Go look at them old John Wayne movies. And they say, hey, Billy, you need to go home to the ranch and get out of them whorehouses and go take care of your ranch. Your ranch is a mess, and the constable going to come over there and find you, Billy. And then his wife would say, hey, Billy, all this crap you want me to do as far as jumping off the ceiling and doing backflips, I'm not doing all that. You better go see that whore in the saloon. That was life back then. Look it up. This is well documented. Saloon girl, virgin bride. That always existed. Still do all over the world. I think in the Asian country they call it what? An geisha. Philippines, they call it a bar girl. Ain't nothing new. Every society always has the universal woman. It's just over here we went crazy with something called the Puritan era. Look it up. The woman versus woman war. But see, that slut was always what? The bottom woman. But she's seen an opening. She's seen it crack. A crack in what? The system. And that crack came because of the wars. World War I took out a lot of men. World War II took out a lot of men. Korean War took out a lot of men. Less men in the community. The men who came back was all messed up. She seen an opportunity. When those two factors came in, she started bucking the system. And a lot of the women were war brides and war widows. That's when they entered the economy. Look this up. They had to. The country was at war. So the idea that women wasn't working before the sexual revolution, that myth has been debunked multiple times. I just did it right there. Complete bullshit made up by who? The slut. Well, you ain't working. See, you ain't working. You want to get out and start working, and the women like, shit, we already working. Who the fuck you think put these bombs and bullets together and all these boots and uniforms and all this shit? It was women doing that shit. Look it up. See, they don't tell you this stuff. I keep telling y'all. They gonna want you to look at me, talk about my head, my nose, look at me. See that? My hair. Talk about my house, talk about my dogs, my E-Waste Husky, my trucks. Do all of that, but do not look up what happened. And do not come up with any solutions. Don't do it. Talk about anything else. Memes, Reddit. Talk about Trump. Who gives a shit? But whatever you do not talk about a solution. And absolutely don't look up something called history. Why do they do that? Well, number one, they don't want you to find a solution. And number two, they don't want you to look up the history because what? They want you to repeat it. What do they say? Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. And what am I talking about tonight? The new woman versus woman war. But this time we got somebody telling you about it. This time we got evidence. So the idea that women wasn't working before the sexual revolution, they were sitting in the house drinking themselves to death on Xanax and all that's complete bullshit. Those women were busting their ass. Remember, there was no washing machine. There was no microwave. There was no fast food. You get it? They had to work in the home and outside the home. My God, boy, people, I'm telling you, they have really dumbed down this society. Shout out to a guy called Lupe Fiasco. That brother got a song called Dumb It Down. They have really dumbed down these people. Shame on these people. They don't teach you. Have you noticed that? You go through high school, middle school, even college. Nobody talks about this. But I'll talk about it. I can take the trolls. I can take them. I can handle it. Why? Because I'm not the hero you want. I'm the one you deserve. I'm the one you deserve. I can take it. Because I know those trolls and these con men and panda bears and simps ain't got no solutions for what's going down. But oh, Alpha, I got one. The problem is y'all ain't gonna do it. So this slut waged the war. She convinced women to be non-virgin brides. And if you hear my dogs, they outside going crazy in the streets. They playing. Not in the streets, but I call my yard the streets. Springtime, animals. We got bats, animals, snakes, lizards, all that stuff up here in the mountain. The mountain's coming alive, as they say. I even see the few bears and coyotes out I gotta watch. They love to eat huskies. So they waged their war, convinced the women to be non-virgin brides, told them that they could get good married after they got blown out, and we now see that didn't happen. The divorces went up, marriages went down, wedlock, yada, yada, yada. You already know that. So now the slut has started a new war. She's starting a new one right now. Because see, what's happening is the women are all non-virgin brides. All of them are. Now let's take the prostitute out of this. The prostitute is literally out of this conversation. A hoe is going to be a hoe regardless. She was never going to be a virgin bride. She's always going to be in that. That's just what they are. So now we dealing with what? This 90% of women, or 80%, or whatever. I don't know the percentage. I don't know what the exact percentage of women who are sex workers in America. It's hard to get numbers on that because technically it's illegal. But we all know it's going on. We all know this. Come on, y'all. Let's not be naive. What do I keep telling y'all? Stats is not the whole story. I love statistics too, but I'm not a stat guy. I tell y'all, stats is just an arrow to point to where to look at. Just look in this spot. Don't mean it's the final story. You don't believe me? Look at the situation with the NBA. Shout out to Bam Adebayo. I love Bam Adebayo. I love that guy. He's a great player. I love that dude. He's a wonderful player. I wouldn't mind having him on any team that I want to root for. Shout out to the Miami Heat organization. Bam Adebayo just scored 83 points in the game. Shout out to him for doing it. Hell of a feat. But a lot of people are saying that they don't like it because his 83 points is not the same as Kobe's 81 points. And you have Wilt Chamberlain who has 100 points. And I said, you know what? Let's not jump on Bam Adebayo. It's still a hell of a feat to do. Just 83, I mean, goddamn, 83 points in the game. That's a hell of an accomplishment. But it does make the point that stats is not the all be all end all. Because they are right. Even though Bam Adebayo scored 83 points and Kobe scored 81 and Wilt scored 100, Kobe's 81 is the best out of all three. Ain't that something? Why? Because Kobe scored in the modern era before it got to the era we are in right now. We're in the era of ticky-tack calls, everybody shooting 200 threes, nobody wanting a foul. You barely touch a guy, he flopping, the flopping era. See what I'm saying? It's not as physical as it was when Kobe played. That's number one. Number two, Kobe scored the points and they needed all those points. They barely won. I think Bam then won by 40-something points. They didn't need his 83. His team was actually beating the team with his points. Kobe team sucked that night. Go back and look at it. That team was stinking it up. They couldn't score shit. And it wasn't like he was ball hogging. And we don't really have everything on how Wilt did it because what? It wasn't televised. But we'll take their word for it. I believe Wilt scored 100 points. If you go back and look at the videos they had of Wilt, the guy was 7'1", 200-something pounds. The man was a damn giraffe athlete. The man could jump out the room, run. He was a tri-athlete. He ran track and field, swim, all that shit. So I believe he did it. He was 7 foot at the time, playing against guys who were maybe, 6'8", 6'9" at the time. And at that time, athleticism was, finally being developed. Most of those men just came out of farm fields and shit like that, And you got the NBA today. So when you factor that in, Kobe Bryant played in the more physical era. Kobe Bryant played, his points were more important. And Kobe Bryant played against athletes who were all athletic. Yes, his 81 is better than both of them. So stats is not the quote-unquote be-all, end-all. Now, why did I get on that tangent? Because, to be honest with you, we don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea what's the percentage of women in America that are sex workers. I don't know. We can look at porn stars. That's official Because we know how many women do porn, but do you really know? Man, if you go on some of these porn sites, your neighbor might be on there in a mess. There's a whole bunch of people doing porn now. You know about those wife swaps and swinger sites, and we don't know. We really don't know because people not gonna say it. This country has the curse of the Puritan era on it, and that's kind of hurting everything now because we know women are doing it and men. There are male prostitutes too. We don't have official numbers on that. So whatever numbers people giving on prostitution, I don't. I'm not gonna say it's wrong, but I gotta look at it like it's not the whole story. So let's take the sex workers out of this conversation. She's not in this woman versus woman war. She will be affected by it, but she's not the one. She's not the target. She's not. There's a new target for the slut. I might want to call this the slut versus slut war. Okay, I might want to do that, but I can't because of YouTube algorithm and their AI. So we'll just say woman versus woman war. But what they're doing is they're trying to set up a new fake Victorian era. See, the Victorian women were virgin brides. See, and they would reject women who had sex before they quote unquote got married. They would tell those women, you are not going to get married. You're going to be a spinster because you are not fit for this noble man. That's how they used to talk. Noble man, gentleman. And those women were spinsters because they did something that disqualified them from quote unquote being married. Now all the women are spinsters. So it's kind of hard, right? Because all the women are spinsters and everybody is upset about what? Nobody's getting married. I'm going to cut on my heater. You hear it. Now pay attention to this. See, remember, we've already talked about this. Shout out to Mary Ebert. I don't know her name, Mary Ebert. Look up something called Life Before the Pill. Life before Adam and Eve, life before the birth control pill. I always butcher that woman's title name, and I apologize to her. But I do give her props. And she talked about how the promises of the sexual revolution did not come true. So now we all know they made a lot of promises. They didn't come true. Everybody's angry. So now they're trying to shift these people onto another failed road. See, we went down that road and failed. So now they're trying to put them on another road because everybody like, well, what are we going to do for the next 70 years? Y'all told us to not be non-virgin brides. Y'all told us that would make us happy. You told us that we would still get married. You told us we would still have children. Blah, 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 blah. And we know all that shit that they promised did not come true. It's undeniable. Panda bears can't even Uno reverse that. So now they got a new thing. Well, here's the new game. What we gonna do this time is we gonna say, well, you just now decentered off men. That's what you are now. Now you can decenter off men. See? Now you could just be at home and work yourself to death and you don't have to focus on that. You're child free. See? That's it. That's it. Yeah. There you go. You're decentered off men and you're child free. See how that works? That ain't going too well. You got women on right now, and this is why I want to talk about this. They have gotten married. They have children. And they telling women who don't have a husband and who never had children to decenter and stay child free. This is the woman on woman war. Boom! What am I saying? They are presenting themselves as fake Victorian era women. Essentially, all the women who were able to either find a sucker to marry them, or they had children, i.e. baby mama, those two women are going to attack the women who could not get married and who do not have children. That is the woman on woman war. That's starting right now. That's what's going on. And they telling them, you keep up the faith, girl. Decenter and stay child free. That's the woman on woman war. 101. Boom. Keep them isolated and miserable so they can do what? Exploit them. And then present themselves as being some new fake Victorian women. We are the conservative women. Don't you hear that crap? Trad wives, feminist wives, single mother by choice. And the women who could not get married and who did not either have children or physically could not, because some women just can't have children. That's nothing new in life. They are pushing those women out. Go outside and keep fighting for women's rights. And they're doing a UNO. Now they're saying what? We're anti-feminists. Yeah, this is totally fucking disgusting. I can't stand it. It's disgusting. It's very disgusting. They led these women down the road knowing that the numbers say everybody ain't going to have a baby and everybody ain't going to have the sexual assets to get married. Period. We all know this. But this is what they did. And now these heifers, that's an old school term, heifers, okay? Look that up. Now these heifers want to sit up here and prop themselves up in a trad wife and say they anti-feminists, right? And those women who didn't make it are the women that's the problem. Ain't that some bullshit? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing a simp pity party for none of them. But I'm telling you this because I don't want men, and I'm already seeing men do it, sitting up here like Pepe Le Pew. You ever seen WB, the cartoon Pepe Le Pew? Pepe Le Pew was the biggest simp on the world, okay? A good old funky skunk male simp. That's what he was. As soon as he seen that black cat and that white paint went down our back, he started turning into the biggest French simp in WB history. He was a simp. Most of them cartoons were simp, but he was the biggest one. That's what a lot of the men doing right now, stinking up the joint and simping. Thinking these so-called trad wives and anti-feminists or some new prop them up as some new fake Victorian era women. We got women who got 3 baby daddies, and I'm not going to say their name, rolling around being propped up as anti-feminists and trad wives. My God, help us. The woman versus woman war. 3 baby daddies. She's now anti-feminist and a trad wife. Conservative base. Can you believe this shit? And men gathering around this woman like a bunch of seals. Yup, yup, just about. Yup, men. And all the fake trad wives, e-girls jumping. Yep, I'm anti-feminist too, girl. Yep, I knew feminists was crap. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You're a non-virgin bride. That makes you a feminist. Boom! I just taught you how to smoke out and shut down a fake Victorian woman. That's how you do it. Ask her that one question. Was you a virgin bride on your wedding night? Or will you be a virgin bride on your wedding night? And sit back and enjoy the show. And when she give you that bad logic and bad deal, a bag of lies, go into Charlie Brown mode. Go look up my video. Anything that doesn't say, yes, I'm a virgin bride, your mind should be womp, 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 womp. Because all you hearing is a bag of lies and a bunch of foolishness from fake Victorian era women. Cannot be debunked. Can't be disputed. Unchallengeable. Can't uno this one, panda bears and simps. Can't uno this one. Ain't no empathic way to get out of this. I find the men that jump around these women like seals, a bunch of seals, yep, just about, as awful as the women that's sitting up there presenting these bad deals. And they are rotten deals. They rotten deals, they used car salesmen, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves. But guess what? It's going to happen. Why? Because there's no rules and regulations. So all the women who either waited too late to have children, you know, I'm going to freeze my eggs. And when... Stop, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't do this no more. Just listen to that. I'm going to say that again. Let me say that again. For all the women who are they telling to freeze their eggs. Come on. Come on. Damn it, you can't be this stupid. I know some of y'all ain't went to college. I understand that. Y'all make up my audience. That's why I like talking to y'all. Y'all have not been corrupted with this foolishness, okay? Look, people, let me tell you something about biology. Okay, this is so bad. This is so bad, I gotta say it. Let me tell y'all something about biology, y'all. Science in general. Okay, we are living organisms. Do you understand that? We are something called flesh and bones, blood, platelets, white blood cell, red blood cells. You get it? Cytokines and leukocytes and eosinophils. You get it? All this shit don't mean nothing to y'all. I'm going to put this in layman's backwood. Shout out to Louisiana country deer cutting skinning logic. I'm going to give it to you raw, rough, and real. When you go hunting, whether you're hunting squirrel, deer, my sister like possum. I hate possum, okay? She love possums too. Okay? Coon, some people eat coon. I don't eat no coon. I don't eat no possum. Okay, now I eat some frog legs. I love frog legs. I'll eat turtles. Okay, turtles not too bad. Chicken, beef, deer. The best way to eat deer is with milk. Shout out to my brother. He taught me that. You put deer in a bowl of milk and you let it sit for about 12 hours in the cold. Don't let it curdle up. And that milk will get in there, and you can let it come out for a little while, like 6 hours in the cold, 6 hours in the shade, and that milk will get in there and take that game taste out of the meat. That's just a little side note. When you skin whatever you kill, and you cut that meat, right? It is flesh. It's flesh. All right. You have to do something. Because that meat is now what? It's not alive. It's something called gentrification. All right, not the gentrification when you see Starbucks and a bunch of new white hipsters walking in your neighborhood. Okay, look out. They about to get rid of you. Remember that. Shout out to Compton. There's another term for gentrification, like the English language. One word got two different names, three different names. You get it? The meat is basically decaying. It's decomposing. When the meat comes out of the body or off the body, it's dead. There's no blood going through it, no oxygen, no nutrients, no plasma. It's not charged. It's decaying. It's dead flesh. It might be fresh, but it is decomposing. I want you to do a simple scientific experiment in your house. I want you to go to Ralph's or Albertson or Winn-Dixie, Walmart, whatever your store. Buy a piece of beef. I don't care what it is, flap meat, carne asada, whatever it is. Cut a little piece off of it, right? Wrap it in some plastic and don't put it in the refrigerator. And I guarantee you by the third or fourth date, it will be green. It will be turning green. That is the bacteria that is in that flesh, right? That is now coming alive. We have a microbiome inside of our body, especially in our gut. My God, I didn't think I'd be talking about this shit. Why am I telling y'all this? When you take the eggs out of the woman, do you think those eggs are now alive? My God, boy, this is basic logic. Ask all the women who did egg freezing. Freeze. They take it out of her, put it in a dish, and freeze it. If you know anything about meat, when you put meat in a deep freezer, yes, or even in the Alaskan ice, it will freeze. But yes, it's frozen. when it's frozen, what can happen to it? You can hit it and break it off. Have you seen the X-Men cartoons with Iceman and Superman and all the others when they use their freezing powers? Did you see the movie Demolition Man? Shout out to my boy Wesley Snipes, and shout out to Sylvester Stallone. One of the greatest action movies ever that told you a lot of shit that's going on right now, by the way. That movie was ahead of its time. In that movie, Sylvester Stallone killed Wesley Snipes. You know the brother always got to die. Right? He froze him to death. He froze him with a cryo tube. His body froze up, turned to ice. He kicked him, and his body shattered. You don't have to know about the lipid membrane bilayer to know that when you freeze meat, it becomes hard and fragile. There is something called frostbite. What does frostbite do? Necrosis. I'm sorry, y'all. I got to give y'all this because people, like I told y'all, they just get in the plane and fly over and say, what? There's biology, there it is. Now we can keep going, y'all. Keep going. You fly over biology. I had the 82nd Airborne into the island. They dropped me off in a parachute. I had to go on that island, survive, and make a landing strip. Pathfinder, come get me. Air assault into it. I'm out of here. I'm out. That's it. Egg freezing. So when they thaw off these eggs, what the fuck you think is going to happen to them eggs? Thaw. You don't even have to get meat. Get some eggs and freeze them and see what happens. Leave them in there for 15 years. 30 years. Come in at 18 and let's freeze these eggs, and you can come back at 38 and come get them. You buying that? Then they tell that woman, all those eggs are no good. We thawed them out and none of them survived. This is what women are telling women to do. This is a part of the woman versus woman war. Remember, we want you to decenter, meaning don't get a husband or even a boyfriend or even a baby daddy. And we don't want you to have no children. And you go out in the streets and be a feminist, and I'll sit at home in a sundress and say I'm the new trad e-girl wife. My God, help us. This is what happens when you don't have rules and regulation. I got to give it to you raw, rough, and real. This is what's going to happen. That's the sad truth about life. See, men can be pretty stupid. I acknowledge that. We can be pretty dumb. But guess what else? Women can be stupid too. And guess who love to sabotage women? Guess who love to do that? Other women. Oh, girl, you ain't fat. They just fat phobic. You need to be positive about your body. Who cares what they say? They can't shame you. What are you doing? I'm going to LA Fitness. I got to go work out, girl. I'm missing my Zumba class. But you stay right there, girl. You be a body positivity person. See? They shouldn't shame you. They just fat phobic and insecure about loving a plus size woman. Where you going, 24-hour fitness? Or Orange Theory? Orange Theory, yeah, I see them in there. Or Pilates, yoga, yeah. Why are you doing that? Well, I got to get in my empathetic empath to get in touch with my all-knowing feelings. You start scratching your head like a monkey. Saying, I don't think you're doing it for that. I think you're doing it to lose some weight and stay in shape. So you can outcompete me. Female sabotage is one of the oldest mating strategies in history. Why do you think women start rumors on one another? But see, if you remove shame, that's a mating strategy, ladies. Pay attention. If I can make you want to be the worst version of yourself, I can get Alpha the first one all to myself. Yeah, go ahead, girl. Decenter off men. Absolutely. Girl, go ahead and freeze them eggs. You got it. Shit, yeah, girl, freeze them eggs. Oh, girl, take that depot shot. Who gives a shit? What are you going to do? I got a date tonight. Woman versus woman war. Y'all got to pay attention. It's going to get uglier. Why? Because the outcomes can't be ignored anymore. They don't have any answers. They don't. They don't have any answers. The women are going to the feminists. They going to the fake trad wives and asking them, what now? What next? What do we do? We got singles events. We got church events. Ain't no men showing up. Alcohol companies going bankrupt because men ain't buying drinks anymore. What are the men doing? They're not being cleanup men anymore. That's gone. Those days are over, ladies. The cleanup men have gone out of business. AI is replacing HR by the day. Half the shit that goes in HR is woman driven anyway. A lady asked me, Alpha, are you saying that they want the corporate America to be like the TV show Mad Men? And I said, hell yeah. That's what they want. Well, fuck that. I don't even want to do it. I ain't with that. That's just I ain't with all that shit. Fuck all that. We ain't doing no Mad Men shit. And I said, well, say hello to AI. What do you mean? I say hello to AI. You don't want to play Madman. They don't need you. How many people now have secretaries? That job is going out the way. Hell, You got people, men that is, and women, hiring male secretaries. Yeah, heterosexual men. They hiring heterosexual men to be secretaries because they don't want to deal with you. That's how bad y'all got it now. Woman versus woman war. I'll say that again. You got women hiring males. She don't want to deal with another woman. That's more competition. Student loans is out of control. Them degrees ain't never gonna pay off. Y'all know that. And now women saying they need to shut it down. Woman versus woman war. You got a division now in the rainbow community. Yeah. And you got women supporting, I won't even say it, but y'all have been hearing about those stories. I'm not going to talk about it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And they've told women, hey, we gotta go with this one. If y'all don't go with this one, it's over. And they were absolutely right. Gotta go with this. We gotta go with this one. This is equality. That's what they were telling them. A lot of women say that's too far. I can't go with that. Shout out to Gold's Gym. Shout out to my state, California. Woman versus woman war. You even got women saying now we should avoid some of these women who don't have children because they can't empathize and understand what mothers have to go through. That's how they talking now. We got to get away from these childless women. You know? Woman versus woman war. The war is on. And there are no more cleanup men. And the panda bears and the simps, they can't uno this one. They can't put it on men. It will be other women sabotaging other women as we go forward. It will be women segregating women from women. It will be women who got married segregating themselves from women who never got married. It will be women who are mothers, whether they married or single mother, segregating themselves from women who don't have children. And they will put up this new fake Victorian era. And I think it's complete bullshit and injustice. But it's going to happen. Why? Because there's no rules and regulations. That's the solution, y'all. It might sound boring. It might sound boring. It might not sound too scientific. It ain't got a lot of statistics behind it. But it's how we got here. Rules and regulations. That's the solution. It's also the problem. And until we start rules and regulations, the woman on woman war will keep waging on. All right, y'all. That's been it. That's me for the night. Out for the first one. The author of the GPS versus SPG Dating and Mating System concept. All right. Don't get too hung up on this woman versus woman war. The number one thing you can do, men, is be what? Don't be a cleanup man. Don't be a cleanup man. Let them fight each other out. It's got to happen. Do not put on the cape and come in and rescue them. Let them do this. Just make sure you don't be a cleanup man. Do not be like a seal. And don't be a yup man. Yup, just about, yup, Stay out of it. Let them fight each other. Make sure you sit back and say, okay, now y'all done. I'm not taking a bad deal. I don't care who won. Don't take the bad deal. All right, y'all. Y'all see my picture. Y'all see me. You see the E-Ways. Sorry, you see the E-Ways dogs. You see the trucks and the cars. That's for the trolls. Shout out to the trolls. Don't hate on the trolls. And for everybody else I forgot, peace!